Africa. My name is Daniel. I'm taking biology, and the topic today before me is photosynthesis. Um, what is photosynthesis? The reason behind, or the reason why we want to study photosynthesis. You and I, we always, when we are tired or when we need energy, we eat food so that we can have energy to do every other works. Our cell also use this energy in their cellular activities, and we get this food majorly or many times from plants that we see. Oh, I want to eat your rice. If I ask what you have eaten this morning or in the night or whatever, it will most times contain a plant. And we never ask that how did those plants, because they are also living things and they need energy, they need nutrition. We remember our normal Mr. Niger D. They have all the characteristics of living things, and they also need energy to carry out their own activities. So the question will be, how do they get this energy to carry out their activities? How do they eat? Despite the fact that they are static in a position, they don't move up and down like we do move up and down. And that's the process known as photosynthesis, which we are going to be considering how plants produce their food. And from the name photosynthesis, there you will see that the word photo here means light, is light, and this here is synthesis. It means to produce. So what are we producing? We are producing what? Energy. So plant produces energy using the process known as photosynthesis. Now, imagine something like this. Imagine imagine your car exhaust, like your daddy's car exhaust, like what's coming out from is silencer, can be used to fuel your own bike. Maybe if you have a bike now, imagine how efficient your the buying of gas will be. You will not need to go and buy petrol every time like that. I imagine if it is possible, but it's not possible. If you buy fuel in your dad's car, you also need to buy fuel in your bike. But there's something kind of similar in that kind of reaction, whereby what we use today, I say we eat food, we eat plants. Our own waste product in that sense is what plants now use to make their own food. When we breathe in oxygen, we breathe out carbon dioxide. And then our plants now use the carbon dioxide, with energy from the sun to produce their own food. And they store that energy. That's chemical energy stored in form of an organic compound, carbohydrate most of the time, which we now take in back as our own food. So we're looking at photosynthesis, how this plant uses energy uses sunlight energy to produce their own food. And the truth is that one way or the other, every living thing on earth use energy from the sun, directly or indirectly. Indirectly will be in the sense that we might not necessarily have to go under the sun to get the energy. But the plants now use the sunlight directly to produce their own energy, which we will now use, because by eating that plant that have used sunlight directly, we indirectly also need the sunlight for our energy. So we see, for instance, now, let's say under cellular respiration, let's assume under our cellular respiration, I would advise you, we have actually discussed cellular respiration in our previous videos. You can go back and check cellular respiration to understand more on cellular respiration. So cellular respiration use oxygen. For instance, oxygen, O2, they use oxygen from the atmosphere. They break down organic compounds, and they release CO2 and water. Now this CO2 and water is now what, through the process of photosynthesis by plants, let's say by autotrophs, they will now release what, O2 again, which cellular respiration, don't forget, with the help of what, sunlight. So you can see that the waste product of cellular respiration, which is CO2, I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. I'm breathing out CO2. Then the plant outside is taking the CO2 with water to use, in the process of photosynthesis to produce oxygen, which will now be used again can see that cycle. So the waste product of one is the reactant of another. So we are going to look at details into photosynthesis. So before we round up this, we'll look at photosynthesis occurs in two major reactions. Two major reactions. We have the light reaction. We have the light reaction, and we have the dark reaction. I would like to call the dark reaction the Calvin cycle. Actually, not me, because they use it to respect the man that found the cycle. So because actually it's not necessarily, you will see that later in our study, you see that it's not necessarily dark reaction in that sense. Because light reaction means it occurs in the light, in the daylight. What you see physically in the daylight is when photosynthesis occurs in the light reaction, and the dark reaction, is where it occurs without the light. Of course, it can also occur when there is light. In fact, it occurs better, but because it also occurs in the night, that's why they refer it. Some refer to it as dark reaction. You find it in our textbooks like that as dark reaction, but for the purpose of being more accurate, they call it the Calvin cycle. So, but for your level, just leave it at the dark reaction. What is actually happening here is that the light reaction produces energy. Normally, what we want to do is to use CO2. Don't forget we are using CO2, right? From cellular respiration. We want to convert CO2 into what? Organic what? Compound. Organic compound. Now, what is happening is that in the light reaction produces energy. Light reaction produces energy for the fixation of CO2. Let's say we have energy here. So this light reaction converts our sunlight. Light reaction converts sunlight to energy, to chemical energy. Wow. Chemical energy. The chemical energy is now used in the dark reaction in the night to change CO2 to what? Organic compounds, which is what? Carbohydrates, in the sense that we now use. So this carbohydrate, this organic compound, now look at what is going to happen. This organic compound will now be used in cellular respiration to produce energy in our cell. Of course, this organic compound can also go into the plant also, whereby it will also be used as, to also, don't forget cellular respiration occurs both in heterotrophs and heterotrophs, autotrophs and heterotrophs. So the organic compound will now be used to produce what? Energy. So in our next video, we are going to look at details into what happened in the light reaction, what happens in the dark reaction. Thank you very much. Stay with us.